Have you ever wondered why Boruto is so insanely overpowered? And I'm not talking about Boruto post getting his karma seal from Momoshiki. I'm referring to Boruto who was able to go toe to toe with fused Momoshiki. Now there are multiple ways you can interpret this. You can either believe that the story doesn't make sense and Boruto just has plot armor, which is a possibility. However, there's a more charitable way to interpret the events of Boruto's manga, which does make sense based on what we're given. In essence, I believe that Boruto is able to manifest this power due to a thing called resonance. Yes, this might sound familiar since it has been mentioned in Boruto's manga multiple times, but more so in reference to the karma seal. To lay it out in a more digestible way, let's put it like this. The karma seal is stated to be an highly compressed Otsutsuki backup file. Once this file is implanted into a prospective vessel, the compressed file slowly extracts over time. And once all of that data is fully extracted, the Otsutsuki will fully resurrect within that body and the person will cease to exist. So the concept is pretty simple. We've actually seen a version of the technique before in the form of Orochimaru's cursed mark. This technique allowed him to impart his powerful senjutsu chakra to someone imbued with his cursed seal, which allowed them to enter a cursed mark state or undergo sage transformation. Not only that, it's later revealed that a copy of his consciousness is stored within the seal itself, which is how Sasuke was able to resurrect Orochimaru during the war. So we can see where they took the influence from when creating this technique. Of course, I'm referring to the karma seal. Now this is relevant to Boruto's case since he possesses Momoshiki's karma seal, which means he possesses Momoshiki Otsutsuki's data and chakra. Where resonance comes in is when Boruto interacts with or is in the vicinity of Kawaki, who possesses the karma seal of Ishiki Otsutsuki. The first time we saw this phenomenon was when Boruto first met Kawaki. We see that Kawaki's hand started to shake and Boruto immediately started to feel the sensation as well. It's then later revealed that both Boruto and Kawaki has activated the karma seal, which has begun to spread across their body. Boruto himself then says that he feels like something is flowing into him, which is likely referring to Momoshiki's power triggered by the activation of Kawaki's karma seal. This is later confirmed by Kashin Koji, who said that the two karmas were definitely resonating with each other. This phenomenon went on to play out multiple times later on in this story. The second time was when Boruto and Kawaki had a brief brawl, which ended up triggering the karma seal at the same time. The third time this happened was very interesting since it was more intentional than accidental, since Kawaki purposefully activated his karma seal in hopes that it would trigger Boruto's. It's once again pointed out that the karma seals are in fact resonating to the point where Momoshiki's presence itself surfaces after Boruto did his unison sign with Kawaki. Not only that, Kawaki is shown to be able to purposefully make Boruto stronger by resonating his karma seal with Boruto's as shown in their battle versus Boro. So at this point the evidence is very clear that they are resonating and resonating makes them stronger, but the real question is why? Why does karma resonate and why does it make them stronger? Well, that's because the writer wanted that to be the case, but there has to be a deeper mechanic to it. I believe this mechanic is the Otsutsuki data within the karma seal itself. You see, we truly know nothing about these beings, especially when it comes to how they came into existence or what their DNA consists of. So them being stronger by resonating with other Otsutsukis can make sense if that's what the writer wants to make sense. So operating under that premise, this explains why the Otsutsuki travel in pairs. So in addition to the function of forming chakra fruits, the Otsutsuki are stronger together, and I mean that literally. But how exactly does that explain why Boruto is so powerful even prior to receiving his karma seal? Well, that's where this statement by Momoshiki comes in.
Now I see. It appears you have strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki.
So in essence, Boruto strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki, one of these powers or abilities being the power to resonate with other Otsutsukis and get stronger. This would explain why the same Boruto who struggled with Shikadai was later able to contend with fused Momoshiki and finessed him using Naruto's Rasengan. Mind you, people like to say that this fused Momo wasn't at full power, which is likely true. However, this same Momoshiki had just consumed the pills he created by consuming half of the Nine Tails chakra. He literally healed all of the damage that had been done to his body by Naruto and Sasuke using this power. Yet Boruto was able to maneuver around him even prior to activating the Jogan, which of course only happened in the anime continuity since the Jogan doesn't exist in Boruto's manga. So yes, Boruto folded fused Momoshiki without the Jogan. He did it in base. I want people to understand that while the Rasengan itself is Naruto's power, Boruto is the one who pushed that Rasengan into fused Momoshiki, thus destroying him. They literally showed this in the anime. Momoshiki was pushing the Rasengan back at Boruto, and Boruto pushed it back onto Momoshiki. So this shows that Boruto was physically able to do so using his power. Without that strength Boruto displayed, Momoshiki would have forced that Rasengan back into Boruto, similar to what Buu was doing to Goku's Spirit Bomb before Goku's power got restored. Now some people will call this a mental amp, but I believe that mental amps only bring out your true power, not power you've never had yourself. So Boruto already had this power but couldn't access it until his interactions with Momoshiki. Now the next question would be, why does Boruto resonate with the Otsutsuki when he himself isn't an Otsutsuki? Where did he inherit this power from? Well, as I've mentioned in my prior videos, multiple videos done before this one, Boruto is very special in the sense that he's the bridge that combines Hagoromu and Hamura's bloodline, thus manifesting Kaguya's true chakra. Boruto himself is a distant relative of the Otsutsuki since his bloodline stems directly from Kaguya's sons, thus stemming from Kaguya herself. So when Momoshiki says Boruto strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki, that's what he's referring to. Momoshiki is clearly able to sense that power within Boruto even prior to him receiving the Karma Seal. Now you might be wondering, shouldn't this then apply to every descendant of Kaguya, which would be all the Senjus, Uzumaki, Uchihas, and the Hyugas? Well, the answer to that question is probably. It probably does. There's no real evidence suggesting otherwise. However, it doesn't have to apply to them as well. You see, there's a thing called recessive inheritance, which is when a genetic trait skips a generation but appears in another. So in this type of inheritance pattern, a person must inherit 2 copies of the gene, one from each parent, in order to express the trait. So if a person only inherits 1 copy of the gene, they are a carrier of the trait, but they might not show any symptoms of the trait. This trait may then skip a generation before appearing in the offsprings of 2 carriers, who each possess 1 copy of the gene. An example of this would be the Uzumakis, who are known for their red hair, but then you have Naruto who doesn't possess this genetic trait. And that's only because he only received 1 copy of the gene from his mother since his father isn't an Uzumaki. Then we have incomplete penetrance. Now this is a term used in genetics, of course. This describes a situation in which an individual inherits a genetic mutation that is known to cause a certain trait or disorder, but this individual does not express or exhibit that trait or disorder. So they have the trait in their genes, but they're not able to manifest that trait. In other words, the presence of the mutation or the trait does not always result in the manifestation of that trait. For example, if a genetic mutation is known to cause a particular autosomal dominant disorder and the penetrance level of the mutation is incomplete, it means that not all the individuals who inherit this mutation will develop the disorder. Let's say that the incomplete penetrance of this mutation is estimated to be 80%. This simply means that 80% of the individuals who inherit this mutation will develop the disorder, while the remaining 20% will not. Now let's say we put this in the context of Boruto's situation. What if the penetrance level of this gene is less than 10%, which means that only less than 10% of the people who possess this gene will strongly inherit the powers of the Otsutsuki. This would explain how Boruto can have this power while the other descendants of Kaguya don't, or they possess it to a lesser degree. So this is how you can interpret the story in a way where Boruto miraculously having the speed to Tagishiki of all people and bring him to another dimension makes sense. This is how Boruto facing off with and overpowering a powered up Momoshiki, a fused Momoshiki that absorbed Kinshiki's power, can make sense. It all depends on if you are able to connect the dots. Now this might be complete nonsense, but it's an interesting thing to think about as we approach the time skip. Now when it comes to the genetic mumbo jumbo I mentioned in this specific video, this wasn't the first time I said this, so if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you might have heard it somewhere before. It's from me. So it's my video on how Kaguya is the reason why Boruto has the Jogan. So I kinda use the same logic that that Boruto got the Jogan due to Kaguya's genetics, and due to incomplete penetrance, it was able to manifest in Boruto but skip the prior generation, which includes Naruto. Because Naruto, Boruto, Sasuke, they're all descendants of the Otsutsuki, since they're the descendants of Hamura and Hagoromo. So that's how it all makes sense. Kaguya is the reason why Boruto has the Jogan, even though Kaguya doesn't have the Jogan, because again, it can skip generations. So this also applies to the Otsutsuki. It can make sense that someone in Kaguya's bloodline before Kaguya had the Jogan, it skipped Kaguya and manifested in one of her descendants, which is Boruto. So this is how I tied it together to say that yo, Kaguya is the reason and not she buys cells, you know, and all that jazz. I don't think that's the case anymore, although that was my initial theory. So let me know your thoughts on that as well. That video is pinned to the channel, so if you go to the main page, you will see it on the main page itself, and I will have it linked at the end of this video. I also went into other mumbo jumbos and all that jazz to more so justify why that is the case. So if you want to like get the full understanding, just go watch the video itself. With that being said, let me know your thoughts on this video. Do you think it makes sense? You know, do you think I'm reaching here? Do you think I'm trying to justify bad power scaling or bad power system, or try to justify bad writing? You know, let me know your thoughts down below. You know, it could be that might be the case. I could be capping, but I do think I might be correct. So with that being said, drop a like if you like the video, subscribe for more Boruto-centric content, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.